Welcome to the Shields on Hoops podcast. I'm here with Nick Peckham, our co-host, talking about Syracuse tonight. We're going to talk about the Syracuse-Tennessee game, the Orange losing 73-56 in the closest 17-point game I've seen in a while. And then we'll talk a little bit about their matchup at the same time tomorrow against Gonzaga, who lost to Purdue earlier on this afternoon. So the Orange will have a little bit of time to get things together, and then they'll face the Bulldogs from Spokane. So we're going to go ahead and just dive in. I'll let you hop right on, Nick. Give us your let's do this. Give us your overall offensive thoughts first, and then I'll give my offensive thoughts, then we'll talk defense. Offensively, what were your thoughts overall?
Offensively, it was a struggle bus, to say the least, for sure. Syracuse started off the game. I think it was like the first 5.5 minutes of that game, kind of just treaded water. Really, I mean, that's the only word you can really say. They treaded water. I mean, they were down by 5 at half. They were in it. And then Tennessee came out in the second half and kind of threw a haymaker. But Syracuse answered that haymaker with their own little haymaker. And I just kind of think they ran out of gas at the end, truthfully. They played a lot of – I know we talked about easy buckets, transition buckets, things like that Syracuse has to get in a game like this. It didn't really happen. They played against that defense in the half court a lot, and they forced a lot of pull-up jump shots, contested. They didn't really seem to move the ball too much on offense. They finished the game with 9 assists on 21 made field goals. Not very pleasant at the end of the day. Actually, if you look at team stats, Tennessee and Syracuse both shot 60 shots in this game, and Tennessee only made 3 more than Syracuse did. They were 24 of 60 to Syracuse's 21 of 60. So really, offensively, a lot to work on. Obviously, they were in Maui, a different gym, things like that. It was we talked about it. It was an early tip, 9:30 Hawaii time, 2:30 Eastern time, but they hung around, they fought, they never really backed down, and then they just kind of ran out of gas at the end. But one big area of concern, we always talk about 3-point shooting, but really they shot 6 of 20. That's not horrible. I mean, it's 30%, but to Tennessee's 5 of 14. So that was one thing we mentioned in the pregame show was if we could hold Tennessee to like a 4 of 20 shooting or something like that. We did that. We held them to 5 of 14, 35.7%, but we just only hit 6 of 20. So it didn't really – it kind of evened out at the end of the day. Free throws, it's been a theme for Syracuse for the last 20 to 25 years. We cannot hit free throws. I don't know if we don't work on them in practice or what, but free throws are not a strong suit for this team. We were 8 of 17, 47.1%. We missed 9 total. Definitely hurt them down the stretch, especially keeping them in the game a little bit longer. But saw some positives, saw some negatives, and we'll dive into player breakdowns in a little bit. But what were your thoughts offensively?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big reason that the flow wasn't there as much was Tennessee was jamming up passing lanes, and that was kind of like, oh, we can't reverse it now what, right, kind of stuff. And that's when you saw a lot of putting the head down and dribbling and just doing too much at once.
I sent a text out mid-game to one of my buddies who's actually a manager on the Syracuse team, but he's actually home right now. He didn't travel with the team. But it seemed like they were moving the ball a lot east to west instead of north and south. There was a lot of possessions where they kind of just passed it around the top of the key, and then it was like, oh, crap, there's 7-8 seconds on the shot clock. Somebody has to make a play.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's what Tennessee's known for. As we talked about yesterday, we talked about how they have pretty quick offensive possessions and their defensive possessions are pretty stretched out. They make you burn a lot of clock. That you saw that in right there for most of the game. I feel like this team's still trying to figure. I don't know what it is, but I still don't feel like they play with enough intentionality and purpose offensively. It still feels a little bit random. It still feels like it's just whoever ends up getting open gets a shot. It doesn't feel like there is a lot of, okay, well, hey, let's get so and so look right here, or what are we going to go to in this situation? It just kind of seems like, well, here's what happens, and that's when things like Collier Copeland ends up shooting threes, Malik Brown shoots threes. Like, if a team knows what, like, if a team knows what the goal and purpose is and what they're trying to get, that still doesn't happen. And I think it was a pretty good contrast, honestly, between Syracuse and Tennessee, because there's no question what Tennessee was trying to get and who they were trying to get involved. Right? It was not random. It was guys filling their roles, and maybe some of that is Syracuse not having those roles established yet due to being kind of new with each other. And I know Tennessee has a lot of age on their team, so that might be part of it. But the team, they need to figure out who they want to be and who they want to be shooting and what shots they want those people to be taking. I was, and I'm just picking little things here, like, and like are Judah and JJ ever going to play off 2 feet? Like, ever? Like, are they ever going to start like gathering and pivoting instead of just like, oh, well, here we are in the lane. I'm athletic. Let me go and extend, make a play. Dear God, I hope I get fouled, right? Because they're, they end up landing out of bounds. They end up landing somewhere else, and it just kind of seems they just get stuck in there. Like, either kick the dang ball out, get rid of it, or like stop, and then make a read. Because it just feels like it's just a lot of high off the glass, extending. Dear God, I hope this goes in. I'm really skilled, and sometimes it works. So I feel like there was a lot of that. And again, credit to Tennessee on a lot of those things as well. That needs to get better, though. Those guys got to make better decisions when they're finishing at the rim, because they are great finishers, right? Like, and they can get to the foul line and they can score inside, but it just feels like they get into like, oh crap, I got to go and make a play between those two guys, between Judah and JJ, when the clock goes down. Last thing I'll say about offense is, dear God, can we please do something about throwing the dang ball, and can we anything, like anything else? Like, I don't care what we do, but we have to get rid of that screener play that just ends up in, I mean, they probably threw it up for a jump ball 3 or 4 times in a game. And you don't get that many inbounds opportunities on your home basket. So there are a lot of like just like Hail Marys over the top, and they got a couple of steals off them. They got some bad plays. Like, it's not okay. That needs to like change, like in walkthrough tonight. like that needs to be something that has to be, and that's a thing that can be changed pretty easily. That's not acceptable to be on this level and not able to get the ball in bounds, right? And that's coaching staff stuff. They need to figure that out. They need to make sure that's a thing, because right now it is an issue, and it shouldn't be, and it's something that can be fixed. And I think that is something that absolutely needs to happen in the very, very near future, as in by 2:30 tomorrow afternoon, right? Like, if they come out in that triangle play again, and they do, I might just lose my mind. I might lose my mind, right? Like, I just might. I don't know what I'm going to do. So, those are kind of my takeaways. I thought that Syracuse had their chance to win the game in the first half. I thought that when Awaka went out and when Tennessee was playing like just hot garbage, right? They were not getting anything, and Syracuse was playing great D, and they were getting stops. And I thought in that lull where, unfortunately, Syracuse also didn't do much because Judah was out as well, I felt that was the chance to push it open to like a 10, 11, 12-point lead, and they didn't do it. And they gave up some bad possessions, and they, again, missed free throws. They turned it over on inbounds. They didn't do the little things, and that led to Tennessee hanging around and giving Tennessee that opportunity to, when the first half was ending, to go on that little run that was kind of put them in control for the rest of the way.
Yeah, the last 3.5 minutes of that first half, we missed about 3 to 5 layups, easy finishes at the rim, kind of put our head down, and they kind of got a layup on the other end. So just little things, if you can finish those possessions out, make your layups, make your free throws. That was a big thing in this game this afternoon. So it was a lesson learned. They played tough. They hung in. They fought hard. The score really doesn't dictate what the actual game looked like. I know it's a 17-point win at the end of the day, but they went on a 12-0 run the last 3 minutes of that game to pull away. It was a 5-point game right before that. So don't look at the score. Go watch the film, watch the tape. Syracuse played a hell of a game against the number 7 team in the country, and they came up short at the end. But it's a lesson learned. I definitely saw a lot of positives that this team can take away moving forward. Maybe not offensively as much, but definitely defensively. The toughness factor, the physicalness that Tennessee loves to play with. I mean, they got after guys, right? They were jumping passing lanes, like you said. They were guys would catch balls off screens and they would bump them and things like that. I know early on there was 15 fouls called between the two teams in the first 12 minutes of the game. But Tennessee was okay with that because it was their brand of basketball. It was a physical game, and Syracuse had to adjust, and they definitely adjusted for the most part. But obviously the three-point shooting, which we always talk about, has to go up, or guys that need to shoot the ball, and guys that don't need to shoot the ball, don't need to shoot the ball. Rotations, I think, kind of hurt the offense a little bit, but seems like when guys get hot, we take them out instead of leaving them in. That's been a theme over the course of the first 4 games as well.
Yeah, I mean, JJ, we talked before the pod, JJ, Malik, and Quadir, 0 for 2, 0 for 6 from 3. And those are not unusual numbers for those 3, considering Malik Brown's never taken one. Quadir hasn't hit one yet, maybe one. I think JJ's hit one. So it seems kind of nonsensical that on a team that is not shooting well from 3 to allow guys who can't shoot well from 3 to keep shooting from 3, right? It doesn't make any – that's not winning basketball, right? So, and I know Justin Taylor was 0 for 3 and he struggled offensively for most of the night. But, again, those guys have to shoot.
I mean, Justin was 0 for 4. Justin got 4 shot attempts in this game total, 3 threes, and if I recall, all 4 of his shot attempts were spaced out over his 28 minutes. So it wasn't back-to-back. It was one every 8 minutes or something like that. And
there's only one, and there was only one that was a really he took one bad shot, that one in the corner that he missed completely. But again, but that's what's going to happen when you have guys like Judah and JJ on the roster, though. They are such ball hawking guys that the ball's in their hands so much that, again, if they're not kicking out and making plays, then you're just kind of hanging out and stuck, right? The difference was Chris Bell did a little bit on his own. I've been saying it for a year, okay? I've been saying it for a year that he's got to be the dude, and now he's finally becoming the dude, okay? So he played great against Colgate, saved Syracuse's ass, all right? Comes out here, second best player on the floor tonight, best player on the floor this morning for Syracuse.
Honestly,
okay?
I would say he was probably the best player on the floor.
And I know his role is different than Judah's and JD's, and the ball's not in his hands as much. He gets to play off those guys. I understand that, but I mean, he's last two games, he's been the best player offensively on the team. And I'll say this much too about Chris Bell. Chris Bell defensively today.
Oh, we'll get into that. I got a lot to say. About that. So
fantastic. I don't care if they didn't get a bunch of steals. I don't care they didn't rebound. He did a heck of a job on Connect when he was matched up with him. He was making life tough. He was jumping in front of I was very impressed with his intensity level. I thought he kind of set the tone defensively for Syracuse for the entire night. Him and McLeod, I thought in the first half really set the tone defensively. And yeah, I don't know, man. He just in my eyes, he just keeps developing and growing, and he's gonna be tough. He's gonna be that guy. Getting to the rim nicely. When teams are teams gonna be in a weird spot because you can't let them shoot, first off, but you can't really run him off the line anymore either, because he's got this nice little floater inside where I kind of wish Judah and JD had that in their game, because Bell's been great about when he gets in the lane, kind of just raising up and kind of not forcing it and going in, and just kind of now he's not getting fouled, but he's kind of going over top of guys and using that soft touch on those little kind of semi floater runner things that he's been doing. So, let's go ahead.
As you mentioned that, we'll jump into the defensive side of the ball now. I thought overall in this game, I thought Syracuse was fantastic defensively. I thought their man-to-man was actually their best defense. I don't really know why he went zone when he went zone. They kind of picked that apart with ease, feeding the high post. They got 2 bounce passes down low for dunks. They kind of hit out to the corners for threes. But I will say one thing to piggyback off what you said. Chris Bell was absolutely fantastic tonight. Best player on the floor on both sides of the floor for Syracuse. Took on the challenge of guarding their best player. I know you look at stats and he finished the game with 17. But,
it wasn't on Bell. It wasn't on Bell.
Chris Bell made his life hell. Chris Bell also had one play that stood out to me. They threw the ball ahead in transition, and I think it was Mayock was going up for a layup, and Chris Bell came over from behind and blocked him out of bounds. That's not there last year at all. That effort, that intensity is not there last year. You just got to hope that these 2 games are what's to come for Chris Bell, because if he can play like he has the last 2 games, this team has potential. Trust me when I say that. And Justin Taylor, I thought I know he didn't score. He only shot 4 times. He was fantastic defensively, on the boards, 7 rebounds, and literally probably could have had 10 at the end of the day. But he stuck his nose in there. He went up and banged with guys in the paint. He guarded Josiah Jordan James for most of the game, a guy who, when you look at it, could have physically abused him down low, and he held his own. So I know it's Benny Williams, but Adrian Autry is going to have a tough decision down the road when it comes to taking one of those 2 out of the lineup to put Benny back in, if that's the case at some point down the road.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. Like you can't sit Bell. Like if Benny starts, you can't sit Bell. And Taylor's doing the things that he needs to do to play. Like he's rebounding, he's defending. But I think Benny still, long run, I think Benny still gives you a little bit more as far as his athletic ability and defensively and rebounding. But we said it might be this thing where it's like Bell or Taylor. It might be Taylor or Benny. Like those might be the 2 guys playing for Byrne, because right now, look, okay, Judah and JJ are going to play. Cuff's going to come in and with them and for them at times. So that's that situation. And I guess Copeland probably is in that group too. Then you got Bell, right? And I guess Bell and Copeland and Taylor are those guys. Then you got Benny or Taylor. Then you got Naheem or Malik. So it's like there's a couple of battles going on right now. And a lot of it I think will be situational. But yeah, I mean, I still think the rotation, we wanted to go back to that, but the rotation's got to get down to 8 or 9 max. And I'm not saying you can't play other guys, but I just don't think the right guys are in at the right times, or at least they weren't tonight, this morning. It just felt like, and again, when Syracuse was in that spot in the first half, like it felt like this isn't the lineup. Like it was like they were just trying to like keep it close without Judah, and they had a chance to do something. But again, when you've got nobody who can score on the floor, really, it just messes things up, and the same thing happened. So
today is one of those games where, and again, injuries is a part of the game, but today is one of those games where you wish you had a guy like Chance, with Judah in foul trouble, a guy who can get his own, shoot, create for others, things like that. But obviously he wasn't there. Syracuse didn't take advantage of that. Tennessee, horrible first half offensively. But outside of the 2 guys we just mentioned, I also thought Naheem McLeod in the first half was sensational, blocking shots. At one point, it seemed like he intimidated a couple guys and they came down low, so they kicked it back out and they had to run through offense again. That's what he's on the floor for, right? He didn't shoot. He had 1 point. I think he was 1 of 4 from the free throw line in this game. But like, he had a couple rebounds. I know he only finished with 3, but it seemed like more like watching the game live. Yeah, he was 1 of 4 from the free throw line. He had 3 rebounds, 4 blocks, 1 point. I mean, obviously, you hope those numbers go up eventually as he grows in this system. But I thought Naheem was great. I thought JJ kind of held his own on the defensive side of the ball. He had a couple tough matchups as well. And I know he didn't play great offensively, but I thought Quadir played okay defensively when he came in, and they kind of put him on their shooter, Dalton. He kind of just got into him, pushed him around a little bit, talked a little shit. But obviously, we talk all the time about Quadir's offensive abilities and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I thought this team played good defensively, about as good as they played all year defensively, truthfully, against the number 7 team in the country. So you just got to take the little things in games like this. And if Syracuse can play with this type of physicalness and aggression on the defensive side of the ball, their offense will come around. I know we sound like a broken record talking about offense, but they are too talented. They have 2 of the best guards in the country. They probably have one of the top guard tandems in the country. Their offense will come around at some point. It's still early. We've only played 4 games, and today was their first time I think they've had, outside of Chance being hurt, they've had all their guys together. Or no, last week I think was the first time, but Benny only played 9 minutes. So this was the first time against like a big competition they've had all their guys together. They're learning, right? They have listen, this is the great thing about a tournament like this. You put that behind you and you go back out tomorrow at 2:30 and you get another chance to prove yourself. And it doesn't get any easier, right? Now they play Gonzaga tomorrow. So you come out with that same intensity you just lost. I know you don't want to lose again. Come out, play your game, play ball, play with that same fire and emotion that you started the game with. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think the defensive effort was infinitely better. You can tell it was emphasized the last couple of days of practice, probably. But so I just thought that was exactly the type of kind of focus, intensity, effort that needs to if you're going to play man, right? Like we can't lackadaisically play man. I thought they were very aggressive. I thought they were physical. I thought they dictated things early. Yeah, I thought they did. I mean, they were jumping in front of drives. They were doing a lot of good things, right? Doing a lot of good things. Still, again, great defensive possessions that weren't finished because couldn't get a rebound. So that hurt them a little bit here and there. But man, if they play with that kind of intensity and like kind of just tuned inness, I think they'll be fine. And by the time mid-January, February rolls around, they'll be a lot better. Like it's still not anywhere close to where it needs to be, but it was a very good sign, I thought, today. Zone, I thought I don't understand the zone move. Maybe it's one of those things where you're like, if it works out, you look like a genius, right? Like
I know early they went zone after Judah picked up his second to try to keep him from playing man-to-man. And then they realized this is stupid. Let's not play zone. Let's get him out of the game.
But you got James and Connect, man. Like if you could put either of those guys in the middle of that thing, and you're in trouble. Like they're both too good to have.
Or Vesely, at that matter. I mean,
yeah, they're too good to have
plays in.
Those guys in the middle of the zone, and we saw that, right?
I will say one thing, Syracuse fans. I know down the stretch it looked ugly. They went on a 12-0 run when it got to 5, and they stretched it out to win the game by 17. But this is a difference with a team that has 3 fifth-year seniors who've been through it, been there, done that. They play in the SEC. They've been in big games before. And this is a team that doesn't have one senior in Syracuse and a lot of underclassmen. Outside of, I mean, if you look at the 10 guys that played tonight, we'll call Peter Carey. He played 1 minute in this game. But the 10 guys who played tonight, one's a junior, and I think all the other are sophomore or freshmen. I don't know. Is there any freshmen that played tonight? No. So they're all, I think, one junior, and they're all the other guys are sophomores. So like, it's a learning curve, right? You got a young team against a team that starts 3 fifth-year seniors. So like they know what they have to do to win. They've been in Rick Barnes' system for 3-4 years, some 5 at that matter. So they know how to play. They know what to do. So just take this game, be positive with it. We said it, I think, in the pregame show. If Syracuse goes 1-2 in this tournament, that's a win at the end of the day. If Syracuse can somehow squeak by Gonzaga and maybe get a third win or second win and go 2-1, that's even better than most people thought Syracuse would ever do in this tournament. So take this game as a learning curve. This team, I promise you, this team learned a lot about themselves today, and we'll take it that way. So my question for you is, we'll kind of do a player breakdown. What did you think of the guard rotation? As in, we'll go Judah, JJ, and Kyle in this game.
I mean, I don't know. I thought Judah he did too much when he came back in. Again, he's 4-for-14, 6 for 10 from the foul line. He couldn't get anything to fall. 4 turnovers tonight. He just struggled, man. Like, he had a step back 3, which is a rare thing. He just struggled to really get into any kind of flow. It looked like he was trying to get to the foul line too much to me. Again, like I said, Judah, I can say the same thing about Judah and JJ tonight. I think they both were just trying to do too much. And again, like I just want to see him play off 2 feet. That's all.
There was one play. It's funny you mentioned that. There's one play in this game that really sticks out to me. When you mentioned playing off 2 feet and things like that. We were down 5-1, and JJ kind of drove. He was if you're looking at the court, he was on the right-hand side of the court. He drove baseline, kicked to Chris Bell in the corner when he hit that 3 for the and one. And that's the type of plays that these guys have to make. Not only looking to score for themselves, but also looking to get your teammates involved. The more you get your teammates involved, the more they shoot, the more they feel confident.
And what defenses will do is they'll just stop. They'll stop helping, and they'll just put you in bad situations because they know you're not going to pass it. Like, it's going up, right? Like, if you get in paint, it's going up. So they'll change how they defend. JJ, I thought, needed to play better. I mean, offensively, obviously, those two, 8 for 27 between the two of them is not going to work.
With the way they play in that attacking style, you got to at least be 50% between the two of them. If you're going to put your head down and get to the rim, you got to at least be 50% between the two of them.
And not have 8 turnovers.
Yes. Yes. 8 of your what? What did they have as a team? I think it was like 13?
15.
15?
Yeah, and not give the other team 8 more shots because you're doing whatever you're doing. So I thought Chris Bell was great. I thought he 2 for 5 from 3 is again, 40%. We'll take that every single night and twice on Sunday. If he shoots 40% for the year, that's a win-win-win. He was 5 for 8 from 2. 16 points, leading scorer. Again, no assists, no 1 rebound, a block, and a steal. Do not care. Do not care. Don't care. All right. He did a great job on Connect. He got after it defensively. He was physical as he could be. He hit big shots. He had that little 5-0 run, 4-5-0 run in the second half that got us back in the game. Like, he's doing the things that he needs to freaking do, right? He has to play. He had 33 minutes tonight. I'm at the point where he needs to be playing 30 minutes a night. I don't care. Like, he's got to be on the floor, man. Like, this team just doesn't have enough offensive weapons. There's no post presence, right? So all the inside scoring is Judah and JJ driving. They got to have guys who can hit shots on the floor, right? And Audrey knows it. That's why Taylor and Bell are starting, right? And that's why Benny probably needs to play. So Benny and Taylor's a whole thing. Like, Chris Bell has established himself as the second best offensive player on the team. Like, period. In my book, that's a wrap. Like, because JJ's not playing well right now. Like, it probably will be JJ eventually. But, like, right now, okay, 4 for 13, 0 for 3 from the three-point line, 4 turnovers versus 7 for 13, 2 for 5 from 3, no turnovers. Like, I just think right now he's playing better. Now, if the ball's in his hands all the time, obviously it would not be like that. And he, like I said earlier, he does benefit from Judah and JJ being such drivers, but he has to freaking play. Period. Period.
I'll go on a limb here and say, I know this might sound crazy for this early in the season, but outside of Judah getting to the free throw line as much as he has in the first 4 games of the season, I think it's 10 times in every game at least, and early on. If you take away like getting to the free throw line, I think Chris Bell has been our best offensive player for most of the season.
He's probably the most efficient.
Yeah,
if we're talking like points per shots taken.
Yeah. So like,
but it's just like in the field, yeah.
There's always that, obviously. But like Justin Taylor, got to have more than 4 shot attempts, especially if you're going to play 28 minutes and rebound the way you rebounded and defend the way you defended.
Again, all right. So how does Justin Taylor have 4 shots in 28 minutes, and Quadir Copeland has 3 shots in 10?
Exactly.
No, like that. And again, I love. How does Kyle Cuff have 5 shots in 11 minutes, and Justin Taylor have 4 shots in 28?
No,
again,
exactly.
I like Kyle Cuff. I like Quadir Copeland. I think they can bring good things. It just doesn't. And again, we brought on that dude from GW who's supposed to be like an analytics guy. Shit don't make sense. Okay, like it doesn't make sense. Like if that's the case, if we're gonna play modern basketball now, right? If we're gonna do things that are like analytically sound and over the course of a season make the most sense, then that stuff has to drop. Like you have to have those conversations. Like, hey, Q, like, look, man, like right now it's not going down for you. Don't shoot any more threes, dude. Like, get to the rim, drive, kick, get involved some other way because you are, let me see, what is it? 0 points per shot taken from 3. You're over 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever it is right now. And you've never proven you can shoot it. So it's like, work hard this summer, get on the shooting machine, do what you need to do. Like, it doesn't benefit you to shoot threes. I don't care if you feel disrespected because they're sagging off you. Cool. Well, think
You're doing
about
that for a reason.
Think about that in June when you're working together. Not right now. It's November or December now. Like now it's like it doesn't matter. Like now you need to do what you need to do for us. And I'm not saying he's a selfish player at all. And that's not what I'm saying. And just I understand that. Like if a guy sags off you or is like, oh, he can't go left. Like when people say things like that to you, you're like, oh yeah.
Watch. I'm gonna go left now.
Do something about it. I get that. That's human nature. It makes sense to me. I understand that. But again, at this level, you got to have all 5 guys tuned in to what's going on.
And listen, and I know we've talked about it. Quadir Copeland brings something to this team that a lot of other guys don't, with the way he slashes and attacks and makes plays for his teammates.
But
I know some turnovers you look at, they're like head scratchers, right? Like, holy shit, did he really do that? But like, there's some plays he makes where you're like, wow.
Oh, and then he shows you other stuff, and you're like, I feel you.
2 more things on player breakdown that we'll touch. The first one, we'll make it quick. Benny Williams, you can't start the game 3 for 3. Hit 2 threes, a nice mid-range jump shot, and act like you're back, and then only shoot 1 more time in the game. That cannot happen as realistically when this team's gelling on all cylinders as probably the 3rd or 4th best player on this team. That can't happen. You got to shoot more than 4 times, especially when you're feeling it. So that's something that has to change. Obviously, his minutes went up. It was 9 in the Colgate game, 16 today. Tomorrow it'll probably go up a little bit more. Well, again, it'll depend on who's playing well and who's not.
I bet it's 20-25 tomorrow.
And then one more thing I want to end on for player breakdown. We mentioned it before we jumped on this podcast. Peter Carey took 1 shot. It was
not ideal.
I don't know how to describe this, but he was standing in a dunker spot on the floor. If you don't know where that is, it's kind of like right at the bottom of the free throw line. Where that big box is on the floor. He got the ball handed to him, and instead of going up for taking like 1 dribble or 1 step and going up for a dunk, he decided to shoot the ball one-handed, and it hit the side of the backboard and came down. Not really sure what that was, but he did not play again after that.
Listen, I don't, and I like Peter Carey too. I don't know how it was almost like he defied the laws of physics. the way the ball like just curved, like it didn't make any sense. Like it was like he shot it straight, and it was like there was a draft in the gym that just blew the ball towards the. It's like it went across his body because it was like in that corner, and like he shot with his right hand, but it went all that way. I don't know. That was weird. I haven't watched it again, so maybe I look back, it'll make more sense.
I thought he was gonna dunk it, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like he's about to dunk, everybody's gonna get excited, and then it was like, "Oh no, he's not gonna do any of that." But yeah, so there's your player breakdown. We'll go over the spread real quick. Obviously, it was 13.5 when we talked. It turned out to be a 17-point game, so obviously, Syracuse did not cover the spread. And the over-under was 145.5 when we were on this morning. I know I picked over and you picked under. They were definitely way under that. So that was that. Again, like we've mentioned, Syracuse plays again tomorrow, 2:30 tip. Our time, 9:30 Hawaii time. They will play Gonzaga. I know I did not catch the Gonzaga-Purdue game. I was coaching the Liverpool freshman team tonight, or assisting, I should say. I know Gonzaga lost by 10. Obviously, it's not the same Gonzaga team that's been in the past, but that's who Syracuse will meet tomorrow. It doesn't, like I said earlier, it doesn't get any easier. You go from Tennessee to Gonzaga. So I know Brandon probably on Twitter post a couple clips that he noticed from Gonzaga this season, and probably a lot of clips that he saw or once he watches the game, sees from that game. But like I said, if Syracuse can come out and play with that same type of intensity on defense, you got to imagine that playing again, maybe they'll find a little bit more rhythm on offense. Syracuse ended up scoring 50-something points. 56. Yeah, 56, and Gonzaga scored 63. So it's not like they scored much better. They shot about as poorly as Syracuse did today in all assets. So should be an interesting game. It'd be a nice win, a nice bounce back win for Syracuse if they could somehow pull it off.
It'd be a huge win. I mean, it'd be a massive win. It would maybe be the biggest win that Reed has all season if you get this win, right? Like
the last time we played Gonzaga, if memory serves me right, it was in the NCAA tournament.
Better times.
Malachi Richardson had a great game, and I'm pretty sure if I remember, Tyler Lydon lost his shoe on one play and came down on the defensive side of the ball and made a block and some crazy. He saved it from going out of bounds. That was the last time we played Gonzaga, so it should be a fun game.
That was a comeback game too, wasn't it? That was a comeback win.
Yeah, that was that crazy run they went when I think that was the same year I think they came back against Virginia on Easter or the day before Easter.
Yeah.
Right. That was a fun team. That was a fun team. While you're looking, we'll go around the college basketball tonight real quick as Brandon's pulling up some – I think he's pulling up some Ken Palm stats.
Yeah.
So obviously Purdue beat Gonzaga 73-63. Virginia got smoked in the Fort Myers tip-off by Wisconsin, who lost to Tennessee earlier in the year. Wisconsin won 65-41. Yeah, that was a big win for Wisconsin this early in the year for sure. Kentucky. These are just top 25 games right now. Kentucky won in overtime in the Wildcat Challenge against St. Joseph's, 96-88. UConn scored 81. They won 81-71 over Texas in the over at MSG tonight. UConn looks like they could be headed towards, truthfully, another championship this year. They're just as deep and just as good as they were last year. And I know Monday Night Football's on tonight, but if that game gets boring for some reason, Kansas is playing Chaminade with 7 minutes and 40 seconds left before the end of that game. Kansas is up 18. And just
43-point favorites.
And just some crazy stats I'm going to throw at you right now from Kansas. Kevin McCullough has 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. He's 4 assists away from a triple-double. And Hunter Dickinson has 25 points, 7 rebounds, and he has 12 of 13 from the floor.
Yeah, they're just sitting those guys. I bet they're just sitting those guys and resting for the rest of the tournament.
And then like their other starting 3 players have a total of 13 points right now. So we won't have to play Kansas in this tournament, I would imagine, unless we win tomorrow and they lose. We might have to play them.
Could happen. Yeah.
But yeah, that's around the 25.
Awesome. Yeah, good stuff. So that UVA loss, we're talking analytics, right? It was a 10% chance Syracuse won that game before that game. Now it's a 16% chance for Syracuse to win at UVA. So that's how bad UVA was today, number wise. All right, quick, super fast look at Gonzaga. The number 9 Ken Palm. They beat Yale, which is a tournament team probably. They beat them by 15 to start the year. Then they beat Eastern Oregon by like 8,000. Then they lost to Purdue by 10 today. So, again, it's still early on numbers. They only have 2 games of a data sample, but 7th best offense, 19th best defense. Things they do well. They've kept teams off the glass so far this year pretty well, which is impressive with Purdue. They've gotten to the offensive glass pretty well as well. They're 68th in the country at getting to the glass, which is not a great sign. Out of 362 teams, their free throw rate, like as far as how often they get to the line, is 339. So they have not shot a lot of free throws in those 2 games. They've also kept teams off the line, so that'll be interesting. 320. They're shooting 25.5% from 3 their first 2 games, which means, of course, they'll hit 12 tomorrow. But
50% tomorrow.
Like from here, and they aren't blocking a lot of shots. So like I don't think you're gonna see a little bit different. And again, I need to watch the film before I say too much. And I'll watch some clips of the Purdue game here in a little bit and maybe send something out to you guys. But it seems like they are a kind of a perimeter oriented team that doesn't shoot well. Which sounds kind of weird. And again, it's only 2 days of data. The other interesting stat is they have the worst free throw percentage defense, which means teams are shooting better from the free throw line against Gonzaga than any other team in the entire country. Right now, through 2 games, teams are 90% from the line against Gonzaga.
So Syracuse will shoot 32% tomorrow.
Well, yeah. So we gotta even things out on the stat sheet. Today Purdue was what we got? They were 13 for 16 from the line, and Yale on November 10th against it might not pull up. Yale was 14 for 14 against Gonzaga from the line. So a meaningless stat, but an interesting stat nonetheless. Gonzaga.
For anybody that watched college basketball last year, the starting point guard for Creighton, Ryan Nembhard, is now the starting point guard, or is one of the starting guards, I should say, for Gonzaga. He transferred in this season. And then they also had a transfer big, Graham Ike, I think is how you pronounce his name. He transferred in from like a lower division school. It was still Division I, but like a lower school. Syracuse was actually in on him in the transfer portal before Naheem McLeod transferred in. So Syracuse kind of knows what he does. Obviously, they scouted him well enough to go after him. But those are just 2 other guys that –
yeah, Nembhard is a 6-foot junior. Nolan Hickman is a 6'2" junior. Dusty Stromer is a 6'6" freshman. Ike Ike is a 6'9" junior. Anton Watson is a 6'8" senior. So they don't have overwhelming size, right? That 6'9", 6'8", if Syracuse wants to play small, That's still doable with the length of Bell and then Taylor being 6'6", 6'7", and the physicality. Nimhard's played 79 of 80 minutes in their first 2 games, so getting him, hopefully whether it's a JJ or Judah matchup, attacking him and maybe getting him in foul trouble could be a big thing. But
Huge.
so they got a couple of guys that we'll look into. They only had 2 guys off the bench play more than 5 minutes against Purdue. So
they're not very deep. It's like they're starting 5, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, that was Braden Huff, who is a 6'10", 2 bigs. So the guards did not come out hardly at all. But the 2 bigs off the bench were a 6'10", Braden Huff, and 6'10", Ben Gregg. They didn't really do too much. It looks like they just kind of rebound and shoot.
One's a freshman and one's a sophomore, right? Or are they both freshmen?
The freshman and Huff's a freshman, and Gregg is a junior. Yeah, so we'll see. Again, I'll look at them a little bit and see what they're doing. Gonzaga typically runs a lot of pick and roll, which is not good news for Naheem McLeod. And they, just based on, I'm just keeping it real. Like, again, one thing I'll say, and then we'll get out of here because I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I do think if Syracuse plays zone, play McLeod. Like if you're gonna play him, play zone.
Yeah, I mean he showed you he had great defensive instincts early in this game.
I don't love him in the middle against a playmaker, but I don't know if Gonzaga has a James or a Connect that can stick in the middle that can really punish him, because he's still 7'4". Like, you can still just stand here and kind of be like, you know what I mean? So I would like to see that. And I had one question for you before we get off. I forgot to mention this. Oh yeah, Eagles just went 20-17. 6 minutes to go. Against the Fighting Swifties. All right, so anyway. Did Red sit Judah too long the first half?
Truthfully, if I was the coach, and obviously I'm not a Division I head coach, but I think down the stretch of that first half, I would have put him back in. I feel like the last 3 when it was tied and you had a chance to really extend the lead a little bit, I think you put him in. Really, when you look at the way the game flowed, you're to say going into half, if you would have told me before this game started we'd be down 5 at half, I'd take that 100 times out of 100.
Especially with Judah playing 6 minutes.
Yeah. But like even at the beginning, Judah's 2 falls were, one was kind of iffy, but he put himself in a situation to get called for a fall on both of them. And then he also had 2 turnovers. He picked up his dribble at the top of the key on one, and Chris Bell kind of came out and then went back door, and he threw it to Chris Bell and it went out of bounds. And then what was the other one? Oh, in transition, he tried to hit. I don't know how you overthrow Naheem McLeod in transition, but he
so bad.
But he managed to overthrow Naheem McLeod, actually running to the rim. It would have been an easy dunk if he hit him. So like I think Red kind of looked at that as well. Like, he really wasn't engaged in this game early, so let's just sit him for this half and bring him back out. Because even in the second half at the beginning, he kind of like passed the ball around a lot. Like, he wasn't really in attack mode. He was trying to get a feel for the game and things like that. That's why I say if you put him in with like 3 minutes to go, he kind of gets a feel for the game before half. So that way after half, he kind of is settled down a little bit.
He typically responds well when he comes back in.
And really, like, he scored what, 15 points in the second half.
Somehow, yeah.
Obviously, he shot the ball piss poor, 4-14. That's not very good for Judah. But I will say, going into this game, the guards were the least of my worries. They did play very – I mean, if I graded the 2 of them, I probably would have gave them a D for this game, because 8 of 27, the way they play, that's unacceptable. They know that.
Yeah,
they know that. But yeah, I mean, the great thing about a tournament like this, as I mentioned earlier, you get a chance to bounce back quickly within 24 hours, or I should say 22 hours by the time the game ended. So you'll play tomorrow. You have a chance to redeem yourself if you're the 2 of them. One thing I will say I am looking forward to tomorrow, obviously you'll be happy with this, but Chris Bell, he's played 2 great games in a row. Is this a sign of things to come, or is this a fluke, right? Like after last year, right, you got to just think that way. But I love how aggressive he's being. Like you said, it's not just shooting threes, it's closing. When guys close out, he takes that 1-2 dribble pull up. Even coming off screens today, he kind of like got into the paint, and when he knew he had a smaller defender on him, he kind of rose up and shot over him. I'd love to see him kind of attack the rim a little bit more. I think he's underrated at finishing around the rim. But as the season goes on, I think he'll grow with that as well. But yeah, I'm excited to see Chris Bell. Obviously, you got to get Justin Taylor more involved than he was today offensively. And you got to imagine there's an uptick in Benny's minutes. It went from 9 to 16. So should we be looking at 20 to 24 tomorrow? But it was a positive sign that Benny was 3 of 4. He hit 2 threes. He looked comfortable. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. And last thing I'll say before we go, I have the season box score up. JJ Starling, 1 for 12 from 3. Kyle Cuff, 3 for 9.
So let me ask you this: outside of
Copeland, 0 for 6.
Outside of Justin and Chris Bell, does anybody on the team have more than 4?
Mintz is 4 for 12 for 33%, which is right where he needs to be.
That's it, right? 4, and then everybody else is under outside.
Okay. Starling, 1 for 12, 8%. That's not very efficient. 4 for 12, 33% is Mintz. Bell is 11 for 30, 37%. Taylor, 6 for 17, 35%. Cuff, 3 for 9, 33%. Malik Brown, 0 for 1, 0%. Benny Williams, 2 for 5, 40%. And Claudia Copeland, 0 for 6, 0%.
So, and the Malik Brown, listen, I don't care.
27 for 92 for 29.3%. And I'll say it until they stop doing it. If you stop letting guys who are 8% and 0% from 3, if you stop allowing them to shoot threes, that number will go up to 35 and 37%, and your offense will score more points and be more efficient. It's simple math. Go ahead.
2 more things before we go. One, what was I just going to say? One thing that I would like to see more, especially with the 2 guards that we have, when Naheem is on the floor, can we try to run pick and roll ourselves with Naheem and kind of like maybe, since you guys love to float through the air and try to get to the rim, maybe kind of throw some lobs, because it seems like the couple pick and rolls we run, he's kind of wide open and nobody looks towards him.
Because nobody thinks you're going to throw it to him.
Yeah, so if you do, then it's going to open things up for you offensively.
Okay. And look, I'm trying to go to bed here too. But like, here's the thing: like, if you run pick and roll with Judah and Naheem, okay, and you stick Chris Bell or Justin Taylor in the other corner, all right, you'll see good teams and good point guard. You'll see NBA does this all the time. And you got Mintz going to the right. You got Naheem rolling to the rim. Who has to help on that lob? The corner defender on the other side of the floor has to help. Judah and JJ have to be able to make that pass, that little hook pass across the floor to those shooters in the corners and like the wings. And that's when that's what I will fall over in a game if I see this actually happen. Because again, you have to help. You have to that third defender in the corner has to help in on Naheem because he's 7-4 and we'll just throw the ball up to. So you have to have a guy in there, which means that guy in the corner has to shake up a little bit, and that's the play. But Judah and JJ have to be able to make that pass. And right now
it's not just that, right? Like, even if you have one in the corner, you leave JJ, like let's say Judah runs the pick and roll. You leave JJ still at the top of the key, so if nothing's open, you can kick it back out to a guy who can also attack off of that.
If nothing is open, you drive and you stop and you reverse pivot and you throw it back out to the other guy who can drive.
Yes.
And you let him drive next.
The defense is already moving.
Let him swing it one more. Like, you don't just throw it up at the top of the backboard and hope it drops in, or hope, dear God, referee, please blow the whistle. Because that's what it feels like sometimes. And it looks great when it goes in because you're like, man, the skill. Like, And it does. It looks great. And it's easy to fall in love with. But if that whistle's not blowing, like it turns into layups.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
One more thing. Around the ACC, Indiana beat Louisville today. So Louisville, I think, is now 2-3 on the season.
But better. It started pretty crappy. They're in games.
Yeah, it's a little bit better. And then Florida State beat UNLV. Florida State is now 3-1.
They were up like 35 to 10 at some point in that game.
So that's around the ACC and around the top 25. Let's go Syracuse tomorrow. Hopefully we can get a much needed win. Big time win. Number 9 KenPom team. I think they're number 11 ESPN ranked. So
we'll see.
So
they had a good first half and they were right there with Purdue, but I don't think Purdue's really done it. I mean, Purdue's number 1 KenPom. They haven't. I mean, they beat Xavier, but they haven't really.
They're number 1 because they brought back Zach Edey. Truthfully,
yeah, and a whole bunch of other stuff too. But yeah. All right, cool. All right, well, thanks for hanging out with us. On behalf of Nick Peckham, Brandon Shields on Hoops, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family. Join on in and hit us up on Twitter. Ask questions. We'll go over things with you guys. Like a lot of the stuff that I kind of do on here is I'll go through Twitter and see. Like you guys are pretty smart, right? So you guys say some good things, and you guys kind of really kind of fuel the conversation here. We kind of piggyback off that. So the more y'all help, the more just better stuff and better. 27 minds work better than 2, right? So we'll see you guys same bat time, same bat place tomorrow, 2:30. Syracuse and Gonzaga in Honolulu, and we'll see if the Orange can kind of continue some defensive intensity and maybe hit a couple more shots. All right, Nick, you got anything else? Or are you good to go?
I don't. Let's go Syracuse, and we'll, like Brandon said, we'll see you tomorrow, 2:30, same spot.
All right, see you guys. Take it easy.